It is always exciting when the Rangers sign a free agent. It's always exciting when they introduce said free agent. So was today exciting? Yes, it was. Even though the free agent is a guy we've known for years. That's the story. That's the day on the DLLS Rangers podcast. A very apt description of the press conference that was held today as the Rangers reintroduced, if you will, Nathan Eovaldi to the Dallas-Fort Worth media. It was a big day. They've accomplished a big goal, but there are so many more goals to accomplish. Hey, welcome into the DLLS Sports Studios. John Radigan Rads here with the Prophet, just the two of us in studio at the moment. You'll be hearing from Abby, who was at the press conference today, asking some questions of Evo and of CY. Jeff was there, too. I was there, and Jeff is currently hanging out with Jake Berger. We're hoping to get Jake on the program, as we did Kyle Higashioka a couple of weeks ago. Not sure if we'll be able to pull that off logistically today. We know this. Jeff will bring us all of what Jake has to say. His story is awesome. So that'll be two of the three people signed this week that we hear from today. Nathan Eovaldi earlier in the day, Jake Berger right now, and of course we'll get to know Jacob Webb as that becomes possible a little bit later on. But yeah, we appreciate you being here. We came on a little later in the effort of trying to get Jake Berger onto the show with us. We appreciate your chats. We appreciate comments. Like us, please. Subscribe to us. We've got a busy show today as we go through all of these things that are happening and try to help settle the dust on this winter meetings week that was really ultimately successful for the Texas Rangers. And so the first order of business today was for the Rangers to, and the very first thing that Chris Young said was, we'd like to introduce our new free agent. It is, of course, Nathan Eovaldi. Welcome back, Nathan. And Evo is actually what he said. Welcome back, Evo. And then my first question to Nathan was, okay, he said welcome back. Did it feel like you left? Evo said it didn't feel like I left, but he knows he was a free agent, and he definitely did talk to other teams. That's what you do as a free agent, and he ultimately decided to sign again with the Texas Rangers. 3 years, $75 million, and the fact that he did says a lot to Chris Young about how he and other free agents feel about where this organization is right now. Let's hear from CY.
Well, to me, it's a vote of confidence that he believes in what we're doing. We've accomplished one of our goals of winning a championship, but that wasn't the only goal we had. And so, and really, I think the outlook, as I've said all along, is very positive. I think our window is wide open. I believe in the core group that we have. It's our job as a front office to continue to improve this club. But when you have winners like Jacob DeGrom and Nathan Eovaldi and the players that we have on the position player side and the rest of our rotation, we have a great core group, and we still need to keep going. We still need to keep adding, but the goal is to make last year kind of a small speed bump, and the standard for us is excellence, and we've got a chance to compete for championships year in, year out.
So can you use it?
So a couple of things about that comment. First of all, I asked CY a little later, do you – I know you've never liked the term that you were selling this organization or trying to sell guys on coming here. He said, I still don't. We're not selling anything. He said, we are what we are. He said, we've talked to a ton of free agents, and they have all recognized that this is a thing, right? What's happening in Texas is a thing, and it's a thing that he intends to go forward for a long, long time to come, right? This is a destination, this is a place to be, and ultimately, if his vision is correct and if it comes true, this will be a dynasty, a dynastic type organization, one of those organizations that is a player in each free agent season, that is a player each and every year when it comes to the playoffs. A little bit like, you hate to say this, but a little bit like what the Houston Astros have done for the better part of the last 10 years. It seems like that one is finally busting down a little bit, but they've been awfully good for an awfully long time. CY wants that to happen right here and to sustain that and to keep it even longer than what the Astros have been able to do. Think more like, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Cardinals, those teams that have always been relevant. That's exactly where he wants the Rangers to be. He mentioned the speed bump of 2023. Later, he was asked by Kennedy about that, and he said, oh my gosh, 1 year does not define a team. That will have nothing, that'll be a blip on the radar, because she said, do you feel like that erodes some of what you were trying to accomplish, that bad year last year? He said, it will be less than a speed bump. It'll be gone from everybody's memory. And the way you erase that from everybody's memory is by go ahead and win again. That's the plan. That's the goal. And that is exactly what the Rangers are doing by getting their free agent goals and wishes and offseason goals and wishes accomplished. Now, Nathan Eovaldi, very happy to be back, and he knows, we said just the other day on the show, many Rangers players, including Marcus Semien, no less than Marcus Semien, who said, we don't win the World Series in 2023 without Nathan Eovaldi. He was the key piece to winning the World Series. He loves that reputation. Abby chatted with him about that at the press conference today.
It's great being able to obviously be around my family a lot more.
When clubs look at you and what you bring to their organization, of course they look at what you bring on the field and your talent level, but then it almost directly follows your character and what you bring in, the leadership, the mentality, kind of taking guys under your wing. You've been said to be, the favorite teammate of position players and pitchers. So when you hear that your character almost overshadows your talent when you have so much of it, what does that mean to you as a player?
It means a lot to me. I feel like a lot of the times we play the game to win, but you also want to be a good teammate and you want to have your teammates enjoy being around you. And I definitely enjoy being around my teammates. I feel like everybody has an opportunity, to help us win. It may not be an every night opportunity because they may not be playing all the time, but if they're prepared to help win and help us win, it's going to be huge. In 23, it came down to the last game of the season for us, and if somebody helped out along the way to help get us there, that's what matters the most, right? The young guys, they may not make the season out of spring training, even though that's the goal. But when they come up in August and September, you want to try to help them prepare for success. I've been around long enough to where I've had my ups and I've had my downs, and unfortunately, I feel like you learn a lot from your failures. And if I can help, some of the younger guys try to slow the game down and being able to execute a big pitch in a big moment, that's what I want to try to do.
It seems like
We've chronicled it many times before. Nathan Eovaldi goes out and watches the bullpens of guys who, he has really no dog in the hunt, and yet he runs out there and he watches the bullpens to make sure he might notice something that even the pitching coaches don't. He helps the pitching coaches, he helps the manager, and he certainly helps the players, all of whom say he's just such a great guy to have in the clubhouse. And it's not just pitchers. Position players like Marcus Semien have echoed those same sentiments, which is just awesome to hear. And it's obvious to see why when Nathan Eovaldi just addresses the media and talks to us about coming back here. He was so comfortable in the decision. He was asked if there was anything other than baseball that factored into his decision. He said, yeah, definitely the fact that I live so close. It's one of the things we talked about a lot. He lives, just about 3 hours away, basically on the northern side of the Houston Metroplex. And so he said, my wife and kids would come up for the weekend. He said, I definitely saw them last season more than I've ever seen them before. So that's a real, a bonus, right, for the Rangers, just proximity. It has helped. And it got him here. 3 years for $75 million. It's structured such that there's a $12 million signing bonus, and the rest of the money is split up over the 3 years. $18 million for the first year, $25 in the second year, and then $20 in the third year. And we asked him if there was, any reluctance on his part to structure it in any certain way. And he said, basically, I told my representatives, you just get the money. I don't care how it comes to me. In other words, if the team needed him to take a couple of million this year, right, for their salary cap purposes or their luxury tax purposes, he probably would have done that as long as the last value of the contract was what he needed, what they felt like he could get, what the market said that he should get. And so that tells you what kind of a team guy he is. He's ready, willing, and able to take basically $7 million less than the face value of the contract this year to help this team be able to cobble together everything that it needs, which isn't much anymore. That's the good thing. And in fact, Jeff was asking CY about that, about what else is left. We know the bullpen, but what about maybe one more bat in the lineup? Here's Jeff with CY.
So you said Wednesday bullpen. Where would a extra bat to supplement the lineup be on the priority list?
Well, I think we feel really good about where our lineup is right now. There's every position basically accounted for, 13 position players. Does that mean things could change? Yes. Does it mean that we're actively looking or pursuing things? It does not. So I think that we're going to be opportunistic. We're going to be wise in the way we construct the roster. The bullpen is certainly a primary focus at this point. We feel very good about our starting pitching and our position player group. But as I've said all along, Jeff, we have a constant obligation to continue to improve our roster and put the best team on the field for our fans.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you like the way the lineup is structured right now? Of course, there's an opportunity, and there's still a willingness to get bats, and there still would be a willingness, given the right situation, to possibly trade some of the excess that's there. You know, the names that come to mind in that case would be certainly Nathaniel Lowe, would be Josh Smith, would be Ezekiel Duran, right? Those are possible trade pieces, especially in the case of Lowe. The benefit of it, the real beauty of it, would be to alleviate some of the salary problems that they still might have if they're trying to get 2 or 3 more pieces for the bullpen and yet stay under that luxury tax threshold. So, and give themselves a little bit of wiggle room if they need to do something during the season. So there's a lot there, but the lineup, to his point, as it is right now, they could take the field with that lineup and they'd feel awfully good when you've got, Kyle Higashioka and Leody Taveras and Smith and Ezekiel Duran on the bench. Those are your bench players. That's a pretty good group of bench players to have if they decided to keep the roster exactly as it is right now. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty exciting. What I also loved that was talked about, and I'm gonna answer questions. Justin and Kenzie and any of the others there, we've got questions to be answered, and we'll be getting to those in the next segment. Also, Jeff's going to join in just a couple of minutes. He's listening to Jake Berger right now. But I want to get to one more, soundbite, as we call them, one more interview piece with Nathan Eovaldi, asked about Bruce Bochy and what he thinks, what influence Boch had and Boch's history and pedigree and all the things he's done had on Nathan being back.
It was a lot different this time around when I didn't have the qualifying offer tied to me. We had a lot of teams reach out right away, and we were in contact with most of them across the league. So, ultimately we were able to make it back here.
Yeah, so, he went on to say, Boch just has he said nobody wants to win more than that guy. And that is infectious, and that is related to the players, and that is something that when you're a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, that's exactly what you want. So just fantastic news on all fronts for the Rangers to get this guy back into the fold and to have a manager like Bruce Bochy who inspires that sort of desire, right? That sort of fire. He doesn't seem he's so affable and fun, right? He doesn't seem quite that fiery, but he brings that, and he delivers that message to his players on a daily basis from the first day of spring training, and that's one of the reasons they've had so much success over the years. So looks like Jeff's coming in, so he'll be joining us momentarily. He's going to tell us what Jake Berger said. We're going to get to those questions, Jake, Kenzie, and Jeffrey, and all of you. We'll get to your questions in just a minute. It's all coming up on the DLLS Rangers podcast. But first, HelloFresh. Man, I love this food that they give to you. I mean, they don't give it to you, but they sell it to you, and it feels like they gave it to you. It's just so good. My thing about HelloFresh, my biggest surprise, and my daughter had been using it for years, and my biggest surprise was how good everything tasted. I mean, it's delicious food, simple. Everything comes together. You get the meat you need. You get the seasonings you need. Everything you need. If you're going to make gravy, whatever you need to make whatever you have is in there. In fact, to the point, one of the things I got was like burgers, just burgers, and they put the tomatoes in there, so I could slice up tomatoes for my burgers. So everything comes in a vacuum pack, sealed pack, and it got the dry ice in it to keep it cool. Fantastic. Love everything about HelloFresh. You will too. You can get 10 free meals over 7 different boxes if you go to HelloFresh and use the code HelloFreshRangers. And we just love HelloFresh. Jeff loves it too, I promise you. Also, do you want to do Empire today? You ready? No,
I'm not ready.
No, I'll do it. That's fine.
I love Empire Today, though.
Yeah, who doesn't? I mean, I love Empire Today too, and they are fantastic floors. We usually do them out on that other set, and that we're looking right at the Empire Today floor. We really need to get them back here and do this floor, because this one's, frankly, I mean, the architects who had this building before us didn't leave this floor very nice in here. So we'll get Empire Today back here, and we'll go ahead and get this redone. But you should get them to your house and get you a new floor. They've got that great technology. Point your phone at the floor. We'll point it at this one. Point your phone at the floor, and they can just show you virtually a bunch of different options that you might be able to put on your floor. And I promise you, it will look fantastic. So go to EmpireToday.com and use the code DLLS and get $350 off your new floors. Look who's back. Jeff Wilson. J-Dub here. I heard Berger or somebody still talking as you walked in.
Still going, yeah. The questions have kind of gone from baseball to
other
non-baseball.
Yeah. Yep.
So I figured, not going to miss much. So sounds like a heck of a guy. He's driving and on his way to appointment, so he won't be able to join us today.
Okay.
Maybe down the road, but it's he's very excited to be here. It's a fortuitous situation for him and his wife. His family, personally. Yeah. He has a 2-year-old boy, and he has a daughter who was born in October who was born with Down syndrome. And so one of the leading hospitals in the nation for treating people with Down syndrome is in Dallas. And they were planning to move here for that anyway. So lo and behold, he finds out at 10 o'clock the other night that he had been traded. He went and told his wife, who was up with the 2-year-old who'd had a bad dream, and they just went crazy.
Gosh, that just gives me chills.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's crazy. He lives in the same neighborhood as Bruce Bochy.
Oh, in Nashville.
In the Nashville area. Yeah. And so they're going to have lunch here in the next couple of days and get a because I believe Bruce is still here. He had the coaching staff meeting last night. So anyway, it's quite a deal. And then that's so he's extremely fired up for that. Obviously, his fortunes on the baseball side have changed tremendously because he's now with a winner as opposed to the Marlins, who generally float around rudderless. So he's happy about that. He doesn't care where he fits in, where he plays. He's just ready to get going, and sounds like a good guy. Looking forward to getting a chance to meet with him. Hopefully soon. Probably Fan Fest. He'll be here, would be my guess, but definitely spring training. And just talk to him about life its own self. He's big buddies with Dane Dunning because they were in the White Sox together at the same time before Dane was traded. So I think there's some pretty good stories that Jake Burger has to tell, and they'll be told here soon. It sounds like the Morning News is going to have a story on the Dunning-Burger thing. So anyway, I mean, that's just me reading the tea leaves.
Yeah. Listening to the questions that are being asked. Well, and the question was asked to CY this morning, and we're going to get right back to your questions and finish up the Evo stuff from this morning in just a second. But the question was asked of CY regarding Burger this morning, and just basically, what do you know? What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And he said, we've been noticing him since he was in the White Sox organization. Yeah. And CY said, our pro scouts have done a great job keeping us up to date. And then we kind of anecdotally said, yeah, it seems like when you've got the former manager and the former bench coach, he goes, they're already paying dividends.
He and Jake mentioned Luis Ureta, the bench coach, and Skip Schumacher, who's the former Marlins manager, who's now in the front office. And Bruce Bochy was calling Luis Pipe,
which
Burger called him Pipe. So I think something got lost in translation. So anyway, it's pretty funny, but he's gonna fit right in. He's gonna feel comfortable with Dane and the Marlins folks he knows. So this is going to be an easy transition for him, I think. He's had spring training in Arizona before when he was at the White Sox. So not a lot new being thrown at him. He hit his first home run with the Marlins at Globe Life Field. He was traded to the Marlins at Globe Life Field.
Oh, wow. From the White Sox.
From the White Sox.
Had he made the big league club with the White Sox then?
Yeah.
He did.
So just some really interesting connections and ties to the ballpark in this area, even the Rangers. So, you talk about fits and how well guys fit. It just seems like this guy's this is like a glove,
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so I want to get to those because they were about Evo and about the roster construction. We used your question to CY about filling out the roster and do they need another bat. Justin was asking earlier, is Jock Peterson or is Jurickson Profar sort of a better situation for the Rangers? I agree with you, Justin, that Profar would be great, but I don't think Profar is even a possibility, right? I think he's going to get more. Jock Peterson's more in line possibly with what the Rangers
I do think Profar gets at least 2, maybe 3 years. I think Jock Peterson's probably going to be looking for 2 years. He turned down a really big mutual option.
Yeah,
maybe the Diamondbacks would have turned it down too. I'm not sure, but it was for pretty big money, and so he's probably expecting to at least get that, whether it be over 1 year or 2 years. So again, I don't know that it seems like Chris Young said we have 13 guys or however many it is, a lot of hitters. Our position player side's filled out, but I think if it's the right fit, it happens. But something would have to move.
Right. Low, for example.
Would have to be traded.
Because you have to have more money available, I think.
But I mean, if you're trading away $10 million for a guy who's going to sign for $10 million, I don't know that it makes a ton of sense.
No.
So especially at a position which would be of need. I mean, Jake Burger has played third and first, but he's played mostly third, and I don't know that he would not be a defensive upgrade. Now, I don't think that first base defense. Well, Nathaniel Lowe's a first baseman. The teams don't prioritize defense at first base, but when you have a bad first baseman, it's really obvious to see, and so. I don't know what's going to shake out there with another bat.
Yeah. Kenzie was wondering about the situation with the Astros, and they've got Kyle Tucker on the trading block, and it doesn't look like they'll be able to sign Alex Bregman, and, sort of what's the outlook for the division, and does it do anything for free agency? Not for the Rangers. The Rangers have gotten everything done essentially in free agency that they wanted, except bullpen pieces. They might do some other things, but that's basically what they're looking for.
Yeah, with Willie Adames and Soto signed now, and Pete Alonso being linked back to the Mets. Yeah, I don't know that there are a lot of huge position players available,
right?
Especially outfielders. Now, Alex Bregman, another Astros player who's a free agent right now. He won't be traded. If the Astros don't resign Bregman and they trade Tucker, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that they're pointing in a different direction. They'll have to do a lot of work to make up for a lot of that offense that they're going to be missing out. Not to mention just the popularity that they each has. So that could be accelerating the change of course for the Astros.
Yeah.
They still have to consider what they're going to do with Framber Valdez. I think it's after this season.
Okay, I was going to ask.
They have some pitchers who will be coming back from injury, but not till later in the year. So they're really kind of in a tough spot. If I'm them, and I have the choice of trading from the roster, I'd try to trade Josh Hader. You're paying $19 million for a closer. If you're losing Bregman and dumping Tucker, there not going to be as many games to save.
Right.
So I'd consider that before I would consider trading Tucker. I know he's headed to free agency, unless he's absolutely said I am not coming back. This is the last year you have me. Then okay, then get as much as you can for him now, because his value is definitely going to be higher now than it will be in July at the deadline. But gosh, if you got a chance to resign that guy, I would do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Natalie asks if there are no more moves, who would the closer be? I'll say this, Natalie, having spoken as we did with CY today, there will be more moves. Like, that's just a done deal. In fact, I think somebody asked CY, one more move, and meaning one more position, one more section of the team to address. And CY goes, I wish we were one player away.
Yeah.
We're not one player away. We're not even close to, meaning, yes, they probably have to add a couple of, maybe 3 bullpen arms.
Yeah, they've added the one in Jacob Webb, but he's not going to close games. It's interesting when while we're talking about Mariners connections. I mean, Tanner Scott. I know he finished last year with the Padres, but he spent a lot of time with those Marlins guys. They're the ones who traded him to the Padres. So maybe that works out a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe Kirby Yates is still out there. They said Chris Young said that he's put Nathan Eovaldi to work as a recruiter. Start by recruiting your own. I'm sure Nathan would feel a lot more comfortable saying, "Hey, Kirby, I'm back. Well, let's put the band back together,"
do it,
rather than just reaching out to somebody he may not know. So, I think though that you're right, John. I was thinking, how many relievers are they going to sign additional? I think 3 is the right number.
Yeah.
That way you have
again closer being
the big one
deal.
of them, and it may not be. In fact, I would say it won't be one of these big name guys, because that's just the Rangers' history now. They don't commit a lot of money to high-end, high-dollar relievers. Now maybe that's changing with Chris Young, but Devin Williams is off the board as a trade possibility. So I think that it's possible that maybe if they don't sign a true closer, maybe they stumble onto one like they did last year with Kirby Yates. A guy who did not start out as the closer, really wasn't even the 8th inning guy. It was the 7th inning guy. Well, I don't know. He and Robertson moved back and forth. But the point being, the closer may end up will end up being somebody from outside the organization.
Yes.
It just may not end up being somebody you're used to seeing in the 9th inning. Yeah,
because really right now, Jose Leclerc is not on the roster either. To follow up with Natalie's question, they don't have a closer. Josh Boers, if they didn't make any moves, when he gets healthy, Josh Boers, I guess, would end up as the closer.
Yeah.
But they don't really have anybody that can close unless they were Mark Church, right? I mean,
yeah, but they're very adamant about John Gray staying in the rotation.
Yeah, they have been.
So,
yeah.
So I think, Church isn't a bad option. Just you'd like him to have more than one big league inning.
You would. Yeah. Evo even mentioned him when talking about the big picture and how excited he was about coming back, and he was mentioning the young guys, Rocker and Leiter and And he mentioned Mark Church. So good for him. We've got more coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about the lineup. We're going to talk a little bit more about the needs and what else the Rangers can possibly do. We get to our batting cleanup segment. It's all coming up. It's the DLLS Rangers podcast.
You don't need a cooler today. It's cool enough outside, but that still doesn't mean that now's not the time to go out and buy a Rugged Road cooler, because these things are fantastic. They're durable. They're light. Really, that's basically all you want from a cooler, and you want it to keep your stuff cool. Well, a Rugged Road cooler, it'll keep your stuff cool for up to 7 days. So I'm not sure you can find a better cooler. It floats, for crying out loud.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You can go float down the river down there in San Marcos and just have the cooler floating right next to you, because I'm assuming you're drinking something if you're floating the river.
So. Yeah.
So anyway,
tether it though. Do tether it.
Tether it.
Tether it.
So go to ruggedroadoutdoors.com. Use the code DLLS for 10% off of these durable, lightweight, and just it's like an outdoor necessity. ruggedroadoutdoors.com.
Yeah, they're fantastic coolers. They're so sturdy. I sold Abby's dad, Todd, on one the other day when I just opened it and showed him all the hardware on it. It's like you'd be really surprised. It's better hardware and more sort of user-friendly than any I've seen. We're big fans of that. We're also big fans of FOCO, which, some of the things you see behind us here on this set, which I think is decorated so well. Although, do we have Christmas? We do.
Oh,
we got a little Christmas tree here, but anyway, very well decorated set by those who do that for us. And FOCO has been a part of that, but they have so many other things besides these little knick-knack type things, so many wearables. And look, it's in the works to try and get the Detroit Lions overalls. And by God, if I do, I'll be wearing them on the show.
They had several different varieties. I looked, John, and there are a lot of varieties out there.
Yeah. Oh, there are. There are. And when I looked initially, they didn't have my size, but now they do.
Ooh.
And so we'll have to see if I can't get one of the kids to pick old dad up a pair of Detroit Lions overalls, but shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff to represent your favorite team. It's all available at FOCO. Use the code DLLS. Go to FOCO and get 10% off. All right, so now we consider Jake Burger in this lineup. And if we assume it stays exactly the same, then we assume that Jake Burger is, not all time, but a lot of time, DH.
I think so. I think that's safe to say. You prioritize the defense. Keep in mind that the Rangers had the best defense in the American League in 2023.
Yes,
and what happened? Well, they won the World Series. They had 5 Gold Glove finalists. Ended up winning 3 of them.
3 of them, I think. Yep.
So it's definitely a priority. It's things that need to be cleaned up, and things that will get cleaned up. I think Bruce Bochy will. Not that it wasn't an emphasis last year, but it was an emphasis his first spring. So I think defense will be a big part of what's happening here. It's pretty interesting the way that Bruce Bochy is going to have to find these guys at bats, though, because they're going to want Josh Smith to play a lot. Frankly, if they're flirting with the idea of taking Marcus Semien out of the leadoff spot, your best option is probably Josh Smith
right now. Yep.
From an on-base perspective, gives you a good at bat, gets hit by a lot of pitches, just all kinds of way he can hit one out too. So and there's a question in there, maybe from Uncle Ted. I don't recall who asked it, but how are you going to get Josh Smith the at bats? And that's what's up to the manager. Right now, I think he could get a lot of at bats as an outfielder. If let's say it's Evan Carter, Leody Taveras, and Dulles, and Wyatt Langford as your 4 outfielders, you're going to need a 5th guy. And Carter and Leody still have a lot to prove against lefties. Now, look, Josh Smith bats left-handed, so I don't know that he's a desirable option against a left-hander either. But I think right now, of those 3, if you had to play one guy against a left-hander, it'd be Josh Smith. Now, that's kind of where you wonder, well, Jock Peterson, all right, he bats left-handed. He doesn't face a lot of right-handed pitchers. Do they want a right-handed hitting outfielder? they got Jake Berger to face right-handers because he's better against righties than lefties, or he hits them, has hit them at least, right-handers. Robbie Grossman was acquired. Yes, he's a switch hitter, but he was a right-handed bat. So you go find a right-handed hitting outfielder. I'm not sure. Again, it doesn't seem like it's at the top of the to-do list. Seems like it's kind of, for now, bullpen Sasaki.
Right.
And the Sasaki thing is unique. And honestly, the Rangers, of course, would love to have the guy, but if they don't get him, their rotation's still going to be okay. It's not like he's the final piece that they're betting on and need to get this guy to be in the rotation. Now, if they do, that will knock somebody either to the minor leagues or to the bullpen. But the point being, I don't know that a bat. I think a bat would probably be third in the pecking order. But again, you can make trades, you can do a number of things. And if Berger is your backup corner infielder, let's say, do you need to have Ezekiel Duran and Josh Smith?
Probably not,
especially if you have John Ornelas down there at AAA, just on the 40-man roster and capable if something were to happen to Simeon or Seager. So it just feels like another move's coming.
Yes,
it
agreed.
Really
and it could be a trade. And, again, the trade of either one of those two guys, Zeke or Josh, I mean, they're going to be what they're going to be, but and they certainly add value to the package if you're trading them away.
Right.
But you're not saving much money, right?
No,
I mean,
you're not.
only if you trade low, excuse me, are you putting any significant money back into the coffers to do other things in free agency.
For sure. And, over the last 2 years, the Rangers have seen what those guys can do when they get regular at-bats.
Yes.
They've also seen what they can do when they don't get regular at-bats, and it's not pretty. So it's something that they have to weigh. It's something they have to consider. Those two guys, Smith or Duran, could make another team better, for sure. They might be attractive in a trade for a more veteran guy. I mean, you look at this Brewers-Yankees trade for Devin Williams. The Brewers got an all-star starter.
Yeah, Nestor Cortez.
Nestor Cortez was an all-star 2 years ago. They got the guy who is like the breakthrough prospect of the Arizona Fall League, who may never, that may be a career highlight. I don't know, but a guy was traded for a guy. So whenever and teams, I think the White Sox being the exception, if they're going to make a trade, the trend seems to be that they want a major leaguer as part of any deal. So Duran Smith, they'd probably fit on young teams. They might fit on winning teams if they're going to get enough at bats. So we'll see what happens. It does feel like Nathaniel Lowe is the guy who, to me, would be most likely to be traded, just when you throw in the salary considerations. But it's not like, then it's still more, it's more at bats for Josh Smith or Duran, but I don't know if it's enough to keep them both active and hot and seeing enough pitches and reps. So I don't know. That's why I'm not a general manager.
Yeah, it's funny too. I was trying to read the face, and again, he's probably great at poker too, Chris Young. But while we were standing there talking to him, it hit my phone, the Devin Williams trade. So I said to him, "Oh wow, Devin Williams out of Milwaukee going to New York." And I was waiting for him to kind of go, or something, because we can't trade, because again, that's a guy you could trade for, so you don't have to worry quite as much about the free agency dollars, right? But he just said, "Oh." I mean,
okay.
Well, I'll be darned. I don't even think he asked what they got in return.
He did not.
They got Nestor Cortez. Did he mention Sasaki at all in the conversations
you
had with him?
No.
And I know there's
we
probably
talked
not
about
anything
him enough.
new.
We talked about him enough at the winter meetings. I don't think they're comfortable talking about him. But both times, it was both Monday's meeting and then Wednesday. He said he answered the question a lot with a much more detail than I thought he would answer on Monday night. And then Wednesday, when I asked, "Hey, have you guys had a chance to meet with Joe Wolf?" Not even mentioning
Sasaki,
Sasaki, I guess.
He's got other players.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
But he has Nolan Arenado, for instance.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, he was like, oh, I really shouldn't. And then they just kind of talked about it. So see what happens. But wow, that's if they could do that, that'd be a lot of fun for everybody involved. But
yeah,
we'll see.
It would be. I see Uncle Ted says you can never have enough strong side bats. The reality is, you're right. But in Chris Young's world, you can never have enough pitching. He said to us today, if we had 15 starters that were available to us to pitch on the major league roster today, I'd still say we need more pitching. That's where he is on that.
Yeah. Hey, real quick on this trade with the Cubs and the Astros for Kyle Tucker. The Cubs are getting Isaac Isak is how it's pronounced. Paredes, who the Cubs acquired at the trade deadline last year. He plays third base. So that might kind of tell you the direction that the Astros are going or think they're headed with Alex Bregman. Now, I mean, they can move him across the diamond, I guess, but I think that's kind of a telling.
Yeah,
might be. If
we
you
don't
wanna,
need
if
our
you
third
wanna
baseman.
Read, if you want to read tea leaves, there they have their third baseman in case they are unable to re-sign him.
Yep, that's an interesting one because the Cubs. We've known that the Cubs were really kicking the tires on a lot of people. So, but for them to get Kyle Tucker, and again, I think it signals the really next step in the retooling of the Astros. I mean, their group has done a really good job putting a group together, and I think this is where they're breaking it down kind of to the studs a little bit.
Yeah, well, as Uncle Ted has suggested there, it is good news that Kyle Tucker is out of the division.
No doubt.
He's out of the league. The only time the Rangers would see him would be one meaningless series during the season and then possibly in the World Series. So, and I don't have any ill feelings toward Kyle Tucker, so wish him well, but I'm sure the Rangers aren't crying over their afternoon beers here that
no
that he's gone. So and then Bob Nightingale has suggested that maybe this trade will open the door for the Yankees to sign Alex Bregman, because the Yankees were kind of hot to trot for Tucker as well.
Were.
So
they were.
Their rebound move could be Bregman, and notice how quickly the Yankees rebounded on Soto by signing Fried, outbidding the Rangers, it turned out. So maybe they go to Bregman next. Pretty interesting, it's we might be watching it right before our eyes here.
Yeah. Because look, there's been
losing some punch.
There have been rumors out there. There was chatter at the winter meetings that Framber Valdez is a trade possibility.
Yeah.
So because again, they don't want to lose him for nothing, right?
Right.
So
right.
And you, I can't remember if this is it. Would this be his rental year, or does he have one more after this?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't.
But it's impending. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not
it's
like
close.
5 years away.
Yeah, he's close.
Yeah, he's definitely deep into arbitration. So
and Jeffrey, the Cubs are definitely trying to trade Bellinger. That was very clear, very obvious. They've said it. That doesn't mean they will, but they're definitely in the market to trade him. They've courted all comers with regard to Cody Bellinger. So more coming up as we get to our batting cleanup segment. We've got lots to talk about, some interesting little side notes about this day, and so much more as we continue with the DLLS Rangers podcast. Hey, we want you to be a diehard, if you don't mind. It's a real fun thing to do. Here's an idea. Purchase diehard membership for a family member. Somebody is a huge sports fan and really just wants to devour this stuff, as all of you do, and we love having you on the chat with us. We appreciate it so much. I think we learned of that trade, the Tucker trade from this, right? Did you see it on the chat first?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. So we love having you guys here. You should share all of that with somebody at the holidays this year and buy them a membership to our Die Hard thing. because that's where they get all the information that we put behind the paywall, not just with the Rangers, but Cowboys, Stars, Mavs. Do you write TCU?
I have not.
Not yet?
Not
okay,
yet,
yeah.
no.
But we will get more and more involved in TCU. SMU has got to be a thing very soon. So, we're all over these Dallas-Fort Worth area teams. So anyway, be a diehard. It's only $79.99. You get 20% off of merchandise. You get 20% off of our events that are yet to come. And I can't say enough about that merchandise, which I don't think Jeff and I either one are wearing any today.
No, I'm not
it's
wearing
rare.
it. Not even underneath my.
No, it's rare, and I'm not under here again. But store.allcitynetwork.com. It's a rare day when neither one of us is wearing our merch because it's not just a bit, right? It's not just a sales slogan. We wear it because we like it. It's comfortable. It's easy, and it's affordable, too. I mean, it's a good price for You see a lot of these T-shirts out there nowadays. The cool ones are $90 and $100 for a T-shirt.
Yeah, what's
not
up
these.
with that?
No, these are affordable. They're great, and they also do sales at store.allcitynetwork.com. So go get you some merchandise, and then we'll know. We'll give you that knowing nod or come over and take a picture with you. Store.allcitynetwork.com for the best merchandise. Let's clean a few things up here, Jeff. Let me see what I got on the list here.
Oh, okay.
I had the Soto. Oh, yeah, Soto being introduced. Did you hear about this?
I saw it.
Did you really?
Well, I mean, I saw that he's.
Oh, you saw a note about it?
I didn't. I haven't read about it.
Yeah, they said that this was much more like a coronation, right, than a press conference where they were. I'm trying to see again what they were serving in the Piazza Club. It featured. Now I don't even know what these are. It featured roast pernil, tostones, and a carving station. It also had a selection of Latin American desserts, Jeff. And the office of Mets employees were having their company holiday at the same time. So they were all in the room. And when Soto entered the room, they applauded with more enthusiasm, the likes of which would befit a concert hall or a game. And that is one thing for those of us grizzled media guys. It is so weird when we do press conferences and there's this big applause.
I hate it.
I do too. It's just like we're just not used to it. You introduce a guy, it's like, okay, we got work to do. We got questions to ask. But I get it. If there are a lot of fans in there, they are excited. The Mets ought to be excited about Soto, who said in the comments and having been asked questions about it, it wasn't just between two teams. It wasn't just between the Yankees and the Mets at the very end. He said until the end, there were 5 teams involved. So Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Dodgers. And then he said right up until the very end, all 5 were involved. And, I think he's obviously very happy with the decision that he made. And there's no doubt that the Mets are very happy. They're trying to build a dynasty there. With David Stearns and of course Steve Cohen and Scott Boras was a key component, and all those guys received ovations from this crowd too. By the way,
well, and Scott Boras represents Pete Alonso, and so there's going to be something potentially work there. So it's. I still feel like you got to re-sign Alonso or get a big right-handed bat to pair with Soto. So I don't know. We'll see. They have gotten their rotation. They went kind of middle tier 1-year deals on guys.
Yeah.
Except for Clay Holmes, who they're making into a starter.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Kind of an interesting move, a way to find value for your rotation there, because if he turns out to be great at whatever they're paying him, $10 or $12 million, it's going to be a heck of a deal. I see the chat. Valdez is going to be a free agent.
2026.
I thought it was after this season. I just looked it up.
All right, so you look it up, and I will mention too that Steve Cohen.
After
this year.
So after this season, 1 season to go. Yeah.
Steve Cohen has said they're still very seriously interested in re-signing Pete Alonso. And it is interesting because typically, you don't re-sign your own free agents. I mean, it's just
hard.
Yeah, it's not something that happens. It's one of the great things about what the Rangers had done today in reintroducing Nathan Eovaldi to us today. It's not something that happens that often. If a team lets you go to free agency, typically that's like, okay, fine, I'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, and it's but teams usually don't have Steve Cohen money.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, and just blow them away.
It will be if that's who Steve Cohen wants, it's going to be hard for another team to pry him loose. I wonder though, could the Mets, since they're spending all this money, what's Vlad Guerrero Jr. going to get next year?
No kidding.
So he's not going to get Soto money, but he's still going to be a pretty young guy who's going to get a lot of years. Can play third, can play first. The Mets have third base, it looks like, in good young hands with Vientos, but Lindor, Soto, Alonso would just make it seem a little bit more complete. And we'll see what happens, but yeah. I would expect the Mets to get him too.
Yeah, no, I would too. Although, gosh, I can't believe. I mean, if the Blue Jays are willing to pay all this money, to get Juan Soto, I don't know why you'd let your own free agent go, right? I can't say I understand that. I mean, keep trying, keep swinging for the other guy. I know you need more, right? So keep swinging for that, but don't let Vlad Guerrero Jr. go.
Yeah,
signed up
again. Toronto has been in the mix for the last two premier free agents, Ohtani and Soto.
Yeah,
and everybody thought, not everybody, but there was a moment in time there last year at this time when it looked like the Blue Jays, or at least it was reported that the Blue Jays had signed Ohtani. It didn't last, but remember, everybody was following the planes to Toronto and all that stuff. So they've got the money. I don't know if there's an enigma going over the border. I'm not sure what the tax implication is on the money. If you have to pay additional because it's international money and you're spending, more than a certain period of time of your year over there, do you have to declare it as foreign income? I don't know, but the fact is that they're just having trouble signing these marquee free agents.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, you want to say, well, the money's the same. I'm sure they make an adjustment, obviously, right? There's some sort of a, that we have to pay you more because the dollar is more valuable than the Canadian dollar, or vice versa. But I'm sure that adjustment is made. But it still is. It's a foreign country, and it's not as easy to get your family there. And it's just, there's a lot of things about it. It's a great city. Toronto's a great place to go. I love our trips with the Rangers to Toronto. Those two postseason trips were in 15 and 16 were super fun. That and that they coincided. That's when they have their Thanksgiving, like right there at the early part of October. Yeah. I think we might have been there for Canadian Thanksgiving 2 years in a row.
It was definitely coming up. I think I remember like some of the restaurants had closed early. Yeah. Right there in October, and it's because of the difficulty getting in and out of Toronto. I generally have tried in my lifetime to avoid
that
trip.
one. Yeah.
There's a trade deadline that was in 2011 when the Rangers had the trade deadline there. The two playoff series, they opened the season there, the 22 season there after the lockout.
Yeah,
changed everything. And like the first year or two, I went just because I'd never been. I wanted to get the feel of it, but definitely Toronto is a place I tried to avoid just because of the difficulties there.
Yeah, it's not easy. Going through customs and stuff is not easy. Typically, when I've gone with the team, not always, but typically I've been on the team plane, it's still more arduous. I mean, it's still more difficult, but it's not. I've been there a million times too as just a regular citizen, and I know it's more difficult to do it as a regular citizen than when you're traveling with a professional baseball team. So anyway, here's another cool thing for our batting cleanup, and we'll answer some more questions here too. But this is fun, Jeff. This date in baseball history, They say it's the best date, the best off-season day in history, December 13th.
Oh, why is that?
On December 13th, 1996, Roger Clemens signed with the Blue Jays.
Okay.
On December 13th, 2000, Manny Ramirez signed with the Red Sox.
Okay.
On December 13th, 2007, A-Rod re-signs with the Yankees.
Huh.
Yeah. So I guess, I guess those are the only three. I thought there were more.
Well,
but,
Kyle Tucker traded to the
Kyle Tucker. Yeah, look at there.
to the Cubs.
So these people are not, what is that thing called? Triskaidekaphobia? That's the fear of Friday the 13th.
Yeah. My birthday's on the 13th, so I've had some Friday the 13th birthdays, and they've been fine.
Have they?
I don't really have the fear of the 13th.
No.
Although in some instances I do recognize like it's pretty unlucky. Like if our guys who work out all the time, Ben and Ardell, if I'm doing like a superset or a timed set and I'm on 12 and I'm going to run out of time and I only have time to do one more, I just stop at 12.
Stop at 12?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Would you stay on a 13th floor? I know there aren't a lot of them.
There aren't a lot of them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have, but yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
Wouldn't bother me a bit. I'd stay in room 1313 on the 13th floor on 13th Street, even if I checked in on Friday the 13th. I don't have any issues about that, but it's all good. It's all fun, and it's been a really good day. It's been a really good week for the Rangers, and I think maybe the best part of it, Jeff, is that CY was just so adamant about we're not done, right? I mean, and we know they're not because they have to get at least a closer, but he was adamant about the fact, too, that we're not one player away. I mean, first of all, the transparency, but secondly, the clarity with which he approaches all of this is just really nice.
Yeah, it's clear to a point. It's obvious that they're not done. I mean,
right.
They have to get bullpen help. There's just no question about it. And he leaves the door open for another starting pitcher. He leaves the door open for another bat. He acknowledges that, it's our job to make the roster as good as possible, which is potentially means trading Nathaniel Lowe or somebody else. So it was also funny. He was talking to us and he goes, "Well, if I don't see you guys before Christmas, I don't expect anything to happen before Christmas." I went, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, there's not enough time." And he goes, "What's today?" And we were like, "It's the 13th." And he goes, "Oh, I thought it was the 18th." He goes, "Yeah, there might.
I'll probably see you before
goes,
Christmas."
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I did.
Okay, there is more time.
I did hear somebody say, "No Christmas Eve Zooms, please."
Yeah. Well, the deal the first time they reached agreement with Eovaldi was Christmas Eve.
Was it really?
22.
Yeah.
Just it didn't leak out. I guess everybody was on taking their night off before Christmas, and so.
So it never broke on Christmas Eve.
It didn't break until the 28th.
Okay.
Maybe it was the 27th. I was on my way to the Fiesta Bowl. So, and I did the story from my hotel. So anyway, and then they didn't introduce him until after the New Year. So this is kind of nice to get it all done. But I really think that something will happen with the Rangers here in the next week or two. Yeah,
and Nate acknowledged that too. That it was really nice to have this all behind them before the holidays, right? He really wanted to get that done. There's a lot of family responsibilities and so forth, of course, during the holidays. Jeff did ask him, too, was Tuesday your anniversary? He said, yeah. And Jeff said, Ben, you're trumping everybody on the anniversary gift. You gave your wife $75 million for your anniversary.
That's quite a gift.
Yeah, it's quite a gift. We're all going to have to strive for that. Goals.
Yeah, just kind of reading between the tea leaves. This is where they wanted to be. The geography, the culture, the CY and his drive to win another championship. It just made a lot of sense.
And here they are. They're back. They're together. They're reunited. We're glad to have them back. We're glad to have you on the program with us. We appreciate the questions today, as we were a little short-staffed around here. Hope we have given you the news that you want and the news that you need. We'll be here every day to do that starting Monday next week. I think we're pretty much back to the normal time next week at noon next week with the DLLS Rangers podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.